All right, here are solutions to the practice questions. So in the first question, we ask you to check out the textmining.py file and also include a count of the words in a particular text. So what I'll do is I'll open Spider, and well, it is still open from the clip before, and I'll enter the text mining script, and I will now add a condition as specified in the explanations. So to my data frame at row I, I'm adding a new column, and I call this n words, and I assign to it the length of the words in a particular blob down here. And to be complete, I will also enter an empty value. An empty value should my pipeline not run. Should the blob actually not be accessible. And now in the data prep stage, I can just type make n. I see, well, it needs to execute text mining again. So that's exactly what I would expect make to do. And by typing make, I can now enter the stage. And actually, I'll get an error message right now because I'm still missing a package. I need to run nltk.download punkt. So let me abort by pressing Control C and copying this and going to Python and importing nltk and running nltk.download punkt. This data was still missing from my computer. So let me quit Python right now and run make again, and now everything should work. Well, the reason why I need this extra package is that otherwise TextBlob doesn't know how to recognize individual words. So my data pipeline is now running. In the meantime, I can already check out my output folder here, and file size of this file is increasing as the data set is being parsed. And I could already take like a sneak preview here by opening the file in Atom. And it should now have also that column which I've just entered. So it now has the n words column. I can look at this has 4 words, 6 words, and so forth and so on. Of course, it's always good to check whether what you see is also what you expect to get. So whether the word count is actually correct. And, there may be some errors in this. So now the next one is to swap the JSON input file. So as you recall, the unzipped files are in the temp folder here. And now we want to parse data for only this event number 1. So what I will do is I'll go back to my notebook, not my notebook, my code file, and I'll open parse, which sits here, and I'll use a different input data set, not Fortnite all event, but this time I'm using Fortnite event 1.json. And again, I can type make n, and now my pipeline is actually to parse and then text mine. So I'll do this again, and I will get the output file of this new event. It should be a little smaller than what we've seen before, but as I have not run this yet, I may also be wrong about it. So now the stuff is parsed. So the good thing is for this pipeline that the JSON input file is already unzipped. So the task was though to even reproduce our analysis. So what I'm doing right now is I'll take a copy of my analysis. I'm just make a blunt copy right now. So this is the analysis old. And when I now run my entire workflow from running make in my root directory, I'll make n again. So now nothing to be done for prep because I've done it. And now doing the analysis, it reproduces my analysis for another data set. So this is as efficient as you can get. So now the analysis is here. So I can open it up now, which is my new analysis. And then I have my old analysis next to it. So let's compare it used to be 14,000 tweets. Now we have 7,100 tweets, and we can look at, you know, the distribution, which probably also looks a little different right here. I mean, just imagine that this was a full-fledged analysis of doing like some really cool stuff, and then you just swap the input file name and get something else. I mean, that will make you a very, very efficient researcher. Sometimes what I'm doing also, just for prototyping, is taking just an entire copy of my folder and copying it somewhere on my disk with everything in it, and then just changing a little bit of my code and having like two workflows at the same time running to like compare how things hold up, right? So here I could again go to my source and data prep, and here I could parse, let's say, event number 2, and hold that against my other folder with event number 1. So I'll replace event 2 because everything is reproducible right here. Let me now go to this folder. So I think this is my text mining copy. And if I now run make n, it kind of figures out the parsing and text mining needs to be done, and then the analysis, and I can run it again. And now even my entire, I now have like 2 workflows next to each other, and everything runs smoothly right here. And I can compare the results by, again, looking at gen, analysis, output, and then, well, the old analysis, that's not current anymore, so let me delete it. Now this is a new data set, only 2,500 of those, and you can compare. That makes you really powerful. Now the thing to remember is, though, not to go like too wild with this. You always need to somewhat go back to your main version of the repository and make the changes and then go on like this. Git helps me tremendously in order to do that, like with versioning my files and then keeping everything in sync. But this is beyond the scope of this tutorial. So just make sure that whatever changes you want to do to your main repository, you'll do here before you like branch out and try out different things. So I'm now back at my main repository, and the only thing that's left to do is try to run it with a different input file, like a different URL. So I go to my data prep source code, and in the download section, I parse, I will paste a different file name. So this is the file name that's used in the template, but you know, you can swap it with a different file name. And something that I will now do is I will first go back to this repository. So it's my text mining, and then source, cd data preparation. I'm completing with tab, and then I go there and just try whether everything is going well. So nothing needs to be run, and now I can swap the URL and observe changes. And actually I'm quite tolerant of problems here, because I'm swapping my entire input file. By the way, before I do that, I do make wipe first to wipe my entire directory. And now in my download file, I can put in my new URL and just paste it from the website. So now it's these tweets, and let me else see. Maybe I write this to just a zip file called raw data. Then my unzipper needs to unzip it actually from a file just called raw data and extract it to temp. So I think that should run. So I'm running it, make n. So it needs to download and unzip and parse. Probably parsing doesn't work because the file name isn't there anymore, right? And that's what happens. So it's downloaded and it's unzipped. So we can check it out here, gen data prep temp. So stuff is unzipped, but now the tweet input file is called trumptweets.json. So I'm copying the file name. By the way, there's a README in here generated by students. So this gives all the insights on this data set if you're interested in it. So let me go to my parse file now. I think it should be, let me open it directly from here. So I go back to source, go back to data prep, parse, So now the parsing is in the temp directory, and the file name is called Trump tweets. I can just like parse whatever I've had before, and I think the script should now be able to run. So by typing make-n, I'll see, okay, it still needs to download, still needs to unzip. Actually, I'm not sure why it is downloading again. That's interesting. So make has not figured out that the download is already present. So I think one of the last modifications I will have to do is also modify the make file by opening it up in Atom, and you already see it assumes that there is a file name called Fortnite raw data, but I just renamed it to just raw data to make it a little more general. Also make sure to update the dependencies up here. That is the input files that this script needs. So this recipe always needs up to date, otherwise Make can't figure out what to run when. So I think I'm now good, make-n, and now it's figured out, well, actually the data is already there and the data is unzipped. So let me just parse and text mine. So I type parse and text mining, and all of my tweets are now getting in. And with Trump tweets, you always have a lot of them. So I'm actually curious to see how many there are. Well, it's just 3,500. Well, that's not a lot. And again, I can navigate to the root and also type make here. And also now my entire analysis is reproduced for this new data set. This is a very, very, very powerful tool for replication. I mean, just swap the input file, have a very general script, and it could work on. You can even use this internally. Suppose you have like 10 events that you want to parse. You just have like a parsing script that like one-on-one calls this, parses it in a CSV file, and then analyzes it file by file. You can make use of this not only to replicate with other data sets, but also like scale up your own efficiency. So let's check it out. We have an output data set. The old file is still in here, but new one is also in here. So so let me see. This is 3,500 tweets, and that also corresponds to 3,575 or something, 76 of the tweets that were contained. And again, you can like have our little analysis here, which doesn't make quite a lot of sense right now, but you know, it's just a demo document. So thanks a lot for like, you know, following through with us so far.